Charter Local Edition. Brad Pomerance here in the San Gabriel Valley. We are joined by Jack Hadjinian. He is a member of the Montebello City Council, was recently reelected in a fight that for a city of its relative size was quite brutal. I mean, I was following it, and so were the general newspapers in the region.
Yeah,
What happened, sir?
I thought that it would have been a relatively easy re-election.
By
but
the way,
that wasn't the case.
2 victors, 7 candidates.
Yes.
And so it was, the numbers were tough.
They were.
So what made it so brutal?
Well, this last year, in 2015, was a big year for the city. We approved the single largest infrastructure project.
Right.
And possibly the single largest real estate project in the city's history. We did the ACE underpasses. We approved the concept last year. We haven't done the final approval yet.
We're going to talk about ACE, which is the Alameda Corridor East Construction Authority, soon. But forgive me for bringing this up, but I have to, because what I saw was that the election turned into a question of identity politics.
It did.
Because Montebello is a city with significant Latino populations.
Yes.
You are of Armenian descent, and while the Armenian community is plentiful in many parts of the area, not quite as much in Montebello.
Not anymore.
Yeah, and so, that's always tough when you start getting caught up in those types of questions. How did you manage that?
I stuck to the basics of talking to the constituent, the voter, the electorate, that these are the issues the city's facing, and this is where I stand on those issues. Now, if you want to elect a candidate based on their ethnicity or their heritage, that's your choice. But you may be compromising what's best for the city. What's
really stunning in a lot of ways is that, maybe we are in a post-racial world, at least in some cases, because Jack Hadjinian came in first.
I did.
In a city with, what's its Latino population?
It's somewhere around 60 to 70%.
Right. And an Armenian population?
Probably about 10 to 12%.
That high?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe about 10%.
Yeah. So what worked in your mind?
What worked in my mind is that I was able to get my message across to the community of where I stood on issues, how I voted on issues, how I prioritize things, and it was pretty well received by the community.
What was also surprising about your election, I shouldn't say surprising, but notable, is that another incumbent was running, she of Latina descent. You were running with someone, there's slates sometimes, a woman of Latina descent, and your candidate won, taking out the incumbent.
I'm very proud of that. I'm proud that I supported a very good candidate.
Her name being?
Vanessa Delgado.
Right.
I'm proud that she had the endorsement of law enforcement, the Chamber of Commerce, and several other community groups as the Armenian National Committee. Yes, an Armenian organization endorsed because that organization truly supports good governance. Doesn't really matter what they look like.
Right. Let me ask you, did you help her? Did she help you? Was it mutually symbiotic?
You could say it's a combination of things.
Right.
Obviously, there was some mutual benefit there, but I did put a lot on the line to make sure that she was going to seize victory like I did.
And now what?
Things are going great. Very well educated. She sees things the right way.
What about the council? You have 5 members, I presume.
5 members of the council.
Did it change the makeup? Is it now 3-2 another way than it was before? Or?
It could be on various issues. It's 3-2. Many issues it's 4-1.
Okay, so.
And it, depending on an issue, the
5-0 maybe.
The opposing member can end up supporting an issue I support,
of course.
Or vice versa. You just don't know what the issue is. But for the most part, there's a lot more harmonious council.
You are also a leader regionally, and you were recently, I guess, reappointed chairman of the Alameda Corridor East Construction Authority. Is that right?
Yes, in January.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us what the ACE Authority is, for those of us not familiar.
The Alameda Corridor East Construction Authority was formed by the San Gabriel Valley COG,
Council of Governments.
Yes, in the late '90s, to address the grade the at-grade crossings of trains and cars with the influx of freight through the Alameda corridor.
Because let's remember, we're near the Inland Empire. And
Yes.
so a lot of the Inland Empire where you see the traffic coming through because of a lot of warehouses being in that region, it can
Absolutely.
impact the San Gabriel Valley.
Absolutely. So there was a number of crossings that were initially identified. Some are about 20. And Montebello happened to be one of the original identified grade separation projects. I'm proud that during the year I was mayor in 2015, the city council went ahead and approved the concept of creating these grade separation projects in our city.
So what were you doing? Were you creating bridges, for example, so the trains could do their thing and then the traffic can go above the trains?
There's a variety of things that can be done. So you can either build an underpass, an overpass, or a tunnel. And the tunnel, or the trench project rather, would be one that is being built in the city of San Gabriel. Now it's very cumbersome to build a trench.
Oh, yes.
Because you can't design that everywhere. And in San Gabriel, they were fortunate enough to be able to design that there because they had a single track.
Let me ask you about funding, though, because we know that for many years the federal Congress was in gridlock over highway transportation funds. I'm not sure if ACE was a part of that formula. The state as well is in a crisis as it relates to its transportation funding. How is ACE doing in terms of its funding formulas?
We're good. You know, we have it's almost a $1.7 billion budget.
From where?
Various funding sources. Majority would be the federal government.
Okay.
Some money comes from the state, and very, very little comes from the county.
But with the federal government in gridlock until recently on highway funding, were you at risk of losing some of that funding, or were you just not getting what you thought you'd get?
We're trying to get additional funds. We're underfunded by a small amount.
I see.
And that would be for our remaining project. After Montebello, there's one more project. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to extend the life of ACE. So we were recently in Washington, D.C. last month. I go back in May to attend the CAGIT, the nation's corridors.
How'd it go?
It went well. You know, we meet with the Department of Transportation. They like what we do. We have a very good reputation. Every project has been built within budget.
Okay.
And most of the projects are done before
Okay.
the estimated construction.
Do you hope to extend the life of ACE? You suggested that.
That's the goal. We think there is a need to do more work in the valley, the San Gabriel Valley, more grade separation projects. We can do a lot of other things relative to infrastructure work.
What about the Gold Line? Does the Gold Line extension impact ACE?
They're two different
So
issues.
it's different areas.
Different areas.
I do want to mention, by the way, that a few years ago I had the good fortune of interviewing a former chairman, and he brought on an archaeologist, former chairman of ACE, and apparently through your Great Separation projects, you have uncovered a lot of Native American artifacts.
In San Gabriel.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, adjacent to the San Gabriel mission. We've
Right.
actually hired a firm who will oversee the project and discover, in case they do come across any artifacts.
Remains.
Remains.
Have they come across remains? I know they've come across artifacts, and we've shown them on the show.
They've come across remains as well.
Really?
Yeah, so we actually pay a pretty penny to have somebody oversee that, and then they document it.
Wow,
and
fascinating.
They've just prepared a book, actually. And they actually gave the board, the ACE board, a copy of the book.
So what have we learned?
Well,
that?
we've learned that there obviously was Native Americans who lived on that particular site where the construction project is taking place.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's very amazing. And the interesting thing is that we're able to document this stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so people can, children can learn about, what
Right,
took place
our
there.
past.
Yeah, exactly.
Jack, I want to thank you for joining us. Congratulations on your reelection. He is Jack Hadjinian. He is a council member in the city of Montebello. He is now the chairman again of the Alameda Corridor East Construction Authority. My name is Brad Pomerance. We're in the San Gabriel Valley on Charter Local Edition.